Witam Was ponownie w kolejnym odcinku i kontynuujemy dochodzenie. I co, pogadaliśmy z Lukojem i myślę, że pozwiedzamy sobie statek. Więc lecimy. No, omijam już te doładowania, bo nie ma sensu. O, coś tu było? O, cóż to się tak tucze? Jest kapitan. O, coś tu mamy. No, fajna muzyczka się włączyła.
The alcoholic drinks and everything that goes with them is top-notch on this ship. Fresh ice and tongues. They could be useful.
Dobra, bierzemy. Szczypce się przydadzą. Nie wiadomo do czego, ale do czegoś...
What is the meaning of this?
Co, kradniemy?
Are even the police light-fingered nowadays?
Aha.
I need this tool for a criminal investigation.
Well, then, why didn't you say so?
No właśnie mówię.
How are you getting along? Can I be of any help?
Actually, you could answer a few questions.
Okej, to zapytamy.
What was your experience of last night?
Terrible. Dinner was fantastic. Everyone was excited about having a pleasant drink under the stars. And then this.
You were in the saloon all night long.
As the captain, I have to care for my passengers. After you and the others crashed out, I tried to maintain a festive atmosphere. But when the alarm goes off, I lose the battle.
No kurde, ile kwestii do poruszenia.
How was the Baroness?
She really surprised me. After she was so unapproachable at the reception and didn't show her face for the entire
No, jak popije, to
I was
popiła,
afraid
to nie była taka
she was
nudna.
one of the bores and bourgeoisie. But then she arrived in the early evening in the best of moods. Already had a few, if you know what I mean.
Did she say anything to you?
She asked me where Legrand's cabin was. I told her, then invited her to come for drinks in the evening. I said it would be
No
great
kurczę,
fun.
prosto, że się nie może
The whole
doczekać.
ship will be there, and you don't want to miss that, I told her.
And then?
She seemed to like the idea. She smiled, and then left again for a few minutes. Then she came back and seemed very happy. We drank a toast to life.
Kurczę, muzyczka się skończyła, szkoda. No dobra, zmęczona baronowa.
But at some point she didn't feel well anymore?
She overdid it a bit. She suddenly started to swoon and almost spilled her drink. I asked her if she wanted to rest for a moment in her cabin. At first, she didn't want to. She definitely wanted to stay in the saloon. But then she realized that she really did need to lie down. We left together. You know the rest of the story.
Chciała się dopić chyba. Okej, zatruty
Did
szampan.
everyone drink from the same bottle of champagne last night?
There was more than one bottle, if that's what you mean. There were quite a few guests, and the event lasted several hours.
The last bottle of champagne, the one the Baroness drank from, did anyone else drink from it?
Certainly.
We have reason to believe that the champagne was drugged.
Incredible. But wouldn't that have made everyone drowsy?
Not if it was only the Baroness's glass that was drugged.
I see. That's possible. On a night like that, many glasses are filled and emptied. There are several stewards, many guests. No one keeps track of every glass.
Otóż
A
to.
few drops in a glass.
Okej,
Yes, it's certainly possible.
dobra, mamy jakąś poszlakę, lecimy dalej.
The glass you handed me last night, where did you get it?
Ah, I understand. You think your glass was poisoned as well?
Did you pour it yourself?
No. I saw that you weren't doing so well and wanted to rescue the situation. I took the first available glass and I give it to you.
Was it on the table?
No, I hurry over to you, together with Dr. Gebhardt, who, of course, he had the glass in his hand. He was looking around for a place to set it down, so that he could examine you. I took it from him.
And gave it to me.
I'd like to apologize for that, but you look so worse for the wear, and I just wanted to comfort.
So the doctor...
Okej, doktor miał kieliszek ze środkami odurzającymi. Co się dowiemy dalej?
Is it possible to find out where the alarm was?
I'm afraid not. There are alarms all over the ship.
I saw that they're sealed. Can't we just check whether the seal is broken?
I'm afraid they're gonna be missing on a lot of alarms.
So, you're saying that the alarm...
I'll inform the crew immediately, of course.
Of course.
Okej.
What can you tell me about the pest?
Oh, not that much. In most cases, I just shook hands. There are a few regulars on board, but you already know them from the trip.
It seems like there aren't that many passengers on board.
These bloody... Can you imagine? Grown men prefer to jam themselves into...
It's all about saving time.
It shouldn't be about how much time it takes to get from A to B, but about...
I'll get back to my investigations now.
Okej, dobra, dowiedzieliśmy się wszystkiego ciekawego. Idziemy pogadać z panią
Lady
Lady.
Westmacott seems to be an early bird, but maybe that's just because of... I saw a twinkle in her eye on the train. She's eager to be part of a...
Dobra. To śmigamy.
Lady Westmacott. Already on your... Oh.
Constable, don't you think before you speak?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No time for chit-chat. What have you found out?
We're still working on the case. Actually, I have a couple of questions for you.
Please, go ahead.
What did you think of our adventure on the train?
I'm glad that you were able to prove yourself, Mr.
Hopefully not.
I'm glad that everything ended well. I want to thank you sincerely for taking care of Matt.
Oh, come on.
I can't bear to think about something happening to him.
It all worked out in the end.
Muzyczka znowu się włączyła.
Do you think that the thief from the train and the murderer are the same?
I think the new Raven is capable.
Legrand believes there is no new Raven.
He said that.
Do you think it's possible? Everyone thinks he's...
As a dramatist, the return of the Raven would certainly be delightful. A legend comes back from the grave for one. At the same time, though, I'd be disappointed.
Why is that?
I followed the Raven's career closely. There weren't... His burglaries were clever, but he was sloppy in London. And I'll never forgive him for the affair on the train.
O kurde.
What do you think?
Everyone. Or
No tak,
almost
wszyscy.
everyone. Everyone on board is physically capable of shooting someone. But who has the dark desire to take the life of a defenseless person?
One cannot read minds.
And one should not try. You have to collect evidence, traces, clues. That's what will lead us to the killer. It won't be like a bad crime novel, in which they introduce a new character shortly before the end who, surprise, surprise, is also the murderer.
Murderers leave evidence. They're nervous or unnaturally relaxed. They have to adjust constantly.
And because of that, they make mistakes. This is your chance, Constable. If you find the mistake, you'll find your murderer.
Have you noticed anything related to the murder?
Unfortunately not. I was already in my cabin and missed all the commotion. Damnable old age.
You're telling me.
Oh, you're still young. At my age, you have to expect that you won't experience much anymore. And although I've written about murder so many times, I've never actually witnessed one. How exciting.
I doubt everyone is so relaxed in such a situation.
Heartless is the word you're searching for, right, Constable? I certainly didn't want the Baroness to be murdered, but if I can't undo it, then I might as well
Dobra babka.
What do you think?
He seems to be as skilled as everyone says. Intelligent. I had a chat with him yesterday. There's something haunted.
I don't think he ever really stopped hunting the Raven.
Catching the Raven made him famous. What if he actually shot the wrong person? Unjustified fame bothers people, the good ones.
And you think he's one of the good ones?
Anyone who tries so hard to tear down his own memorial must be honorable. Or insane.
I have to be going, Lady Westmacott.
Please keep me informed, Constable.
Of course.
No dobra. Kilka ciekawych rzeczy się dowiedzieliśmy. Co tu teraz zrobić? Może zwiedzimy rufę. Cóż, będzie doczytywanie pewnie. Oczywiście. Dobra, jesteśmy na rufie. Co tu ciekawego? Głośniki. Głośniki raczej nie będą ciekawe, ale sprawdzimy wszystko.
These things made quite a racket last night. I couldn't...
No tak.
Did Edison have any idea what would become of his...
A, jejku. O, ręczniki. Może tu coś będzie?
Big, soft... I could reserve a deck chair with it. No, better not.
No, that's enough. Okej, tu nic. Szczypce się nie przydadzą chyba. Coś tu jest? Leżak.
I'd really like to, but I don't have time. No, Jacob. Business before...
Dobra, chyba nie ma nic. O. Cóż było? A, idzie na burtę. No to idziemy. Idziemy, zobaczmy co nas... Znowu to ładowanie zakijane. Tu nic. Gdzieś środka, to nie, na razie nas to nie interesuje. O, łódka, a nie, idź na górę jest. Skrzynki, sprawdźmy skrzynki.
I suppose the life jackets are close to the railing, close at hand.
O, obejrzyj trap.
Curious. One can easily toss a gun into the sea from up, and yet the murderer chose the one spot where it's not actually possible. The gang... Why did the murderer drop the gun on the gangway? They must have noticed the mistake. Even so, why didn't they...
Być może było to celowe. Hello. Dobra, tutaj chyba nie ma tych skrzyniach faktycznie.
I hope I don't find my...
Dobra, idziemy na górę. Na górę? A dało się tam iść? Nie wiadomo. Znowu ładowanie pewnie. Dobra, jesteśmy na górze.
We were here yesterday when we heard the shot, and it was also here where Legrand caught our stowaway.
No, tutaj coś czuję, że będzie grube dochodzenie. O, właśnie. Nie kręci się, widzę wiatrak jeden. Tam wentylator. Dobra, na co możemy spojrzeć? Spójrz na drzwi.
The ship's bridge. 2 men. One of them navigating. I get the impression that the officers keep things running. It seems like the captain concentrates on the passengers and the bar.
Dobra, teraz nie przeklikuję tych kwestii, bo trzeba uważnie czytać. Co to jest? Siekierka.
Why is there an axe hanging here? I suppose it's for chopping through ropes in the event that the... Or they use it to enforce who's allowed on the boat and who's not.
No raczej. Można to wziąć? Nie. Dobra. Idziemy na dół? Nie idziemy na dół. Drzwi już zbadane? Dobra. Szalupa.
A boat like this would also make a good hideout for a stowaway. Were the tarpaulins arranged like that on purpose so that no one could put them back in order once they get in? You can tell at a glance that everything is ship-shape with this boat.
No, aż za bardzo. Dobra. To sprawdźmy ten wentylator. Bo mnie intryguje.
The grate must be part of the ship's ventilation. The grate shouldn't be so easy to open. Did the stowaway open it in... No. The pipe is too narrow. He wouldn't fit in there. I guess that... I could inform the captain, but if I start reporting all the problems on the ship...
Czy da się tu coś zrobić? Nie bardzo. Dobra. Czy mogę tutaj gdzieś iść dalej? Rury.
This isn't a panoramic deck for visitors. There are I have no idea how the ship...
No dobra. O, przeszukaj kąt. No jednak dobrze, że sobie podpowiedź kliknąłem, bo chyba bym to przegapił.
There's dirt piled up in the... Down below where the passengers are, the ship is pretty clean.
No, w sumie nic tu nie ma. Dobra, to idziemy na dół. Aha, dobra, zeszliśmy na dół i teraz idziemy na pokład i pewnie znów będzie sparować można z tym ładowaniem. Jest śpiący posterunkowy. No dobra, pogadamy z nim chyba. Czy ta, co ta tam.
It may not seem like it, but Constable Oliver is actually...
Wstawaj pan, bo tu będziemy gadać.
What's going on?
The Raven just flew by.
What?
Or at least, he might as well have.
I wasn't asleep.
I understand. It was just a ruse. Any conclusions about a young stowaway?
Yeah, he's a bit suspicious. Foreign and whatnot.
I see. Did he act suspiciously in any way?
No. The shot surprised him as much as it did me. Looked in on him earlier, but still seems to be asleep.
Covered with a blanket from head to toe?
Aha. He's still in there. I poked him.
Okej, przesłuchamy go.
May I go downstairs and have a couple of words with our guest?
No, you may not.
O ty kuta
Come
fajnie.
again?
Inspector Legrand wants to conduct all the interrogations himself.
I'm sure he'll understand if I form my own conclusions.
He ordered me to guard the door, and that's just what I'm gonna do.
How about a bit of individual initiative?
How about letting a man do his job? Or do you think you'd be better at it?
Ale bufon z niego.
What do you think? What happened?
The Raven broke into the Baroness's cabin, she surprised him, and he shot her.
What was he looking for in her cabin?
She was a rich woman.
He didn't want to steal her purse. He wanted the third key.
So Legrand also told you about that.
Why did he lock the door?
Why not?
From inside? An impressive trick.
I'm not saying I know how he did it. I'm just saying that it was him.
Why didn't he leave a raven feather?
Are you serious? We'd have suspected him straight away.
But fortunately, we still did.
Co za typ?
Let's assume that the old raven really has returned and that
Oh, could be anyone. No one's ever seen the Raven.
he could also be paying someone else to do his dirty work.
But of course. No, it's a fact that he used to work with partners. They even arrested some of his accomplices.
But no one could ever identify the raven himself. Some claims that they didn't even... Fascinating. He could have hired someone with financial difficulties to set off the alarm at a certain time without that person knowing why they were doing it.
The man Legrand shot back then, he was a famous safecracker. He could just as well have been a henchman.
Or the real raven. There's probably no better cover for a big thief than acting like a small one. I don't want to keep you from your duties any longer.
Good idea.
Dobra, nic ciekawego.
The stowaway surely didn't, although his cell is probably more I have... If I want to get into the cargo hold... And what about the other gunshot? Could the second missing bullet from the murder weapon...
Kurde,
And could the...
znowu sobie klikam za dużo jeden raz. Tego jakoś musimy... On śpi w sumie. Dobra, zbadajmy co tu jeszcze ciekawego. Może nasze morze. Klasy? Czy co to? Nie, to jest...
Salty sea air in my old lungs. Wind in my...
O, czyli może nasze morze. Sprzętu... Nawet nie będę czytał co do czego.
I wonder if this game is an advanced version of bocce. Maybe the inventor realized that it's difficult to play ball games on a boat and came up with an alternative.
Okej, chyba nic tu nie ciekawego nie ma. Tego nie wypłoszę. Więc pływamy stąd. Dosłownie i w przenośni. Dobra, myślę, że się przetransportujemy w tym momencie do inspektora i myślę, że oszczędzę wam tych loadingów, więc widzimy się, no coś mi się zlagowało. Okej, 3 loadingi i jeszcze 4 jesteśmy u Regra. No dobra, wreszcie żeśmy dotarli.
Constable?
Rozgadka szmatka. A, jednak kwestie są. Środek uspokajający.
Who gave you the glass of champagne?
It was Captain de Conti.
You're sure?
He doesn't deny it, but he also says that the glasses passed through many hands that night and that everyone had access to the champagne.
So it could have been anyone.
Maybe the question isn't who put the poison in the glass, but rather who it was they wanted to poison.
Smart. And who were they trying to poison?
Dr. Gebhardt? The captain got the glass from him.
An unconscious ship's doctor. That sounds like it would be more use to a murderer than a drugged constable.
You think
ciekawe.
so? Did the murderer have reason to assume that his shot might not kill the victim immediately and that Dr. Gebhardt would be able to save her?
You're right. That's improbable. My ego is just searching for reasons for them to want to kill her, and not me. Good job, Zelna.
Okej, no ciekawa koncepcja. Okej, teraz plamę krwi, muszę was powiedzieć o tym.
I took a closer look at the blood spot from the Baroness's
I
bed.
nie ciemnieje.
Yes, what's wrong with it?
It looks odd.
Odd?
I think it should be darker.
I understand. The iron in blood causes it to darken the longer it's exposed to the air.
Right. And
We don't have time to waste. Dr. Gebhardt examined the body thoroughly. He would have noticed if anything was wrong.
you trust Dr. Gebhardt completely.
I trust everyone as much as is advisable. There will be a complete autopsy in Cairo. Until then, the doctor is one of the few people on board who is not a suspect. You, him, the stowaway, Constable Oliver, and I all have alibis.
There are still enough suspects left. I was able to make the traces of a note on the Baroness's notepad legible. She wrote that a murderer is on board and that she'll unmask him. She asks the recipient to meet her in the saloon at 10 p.m. If we can find the recipient.
I was the recipient.
Monsieur?
When I entered my cabin last night, I found a message on the floor. Someone must have slipped it under the door.
Why didn't you say anything about it?
I didn't know that I was obliged to.
We are partners.
Not really. You're helping me out until we reach Cairo, because you somehow managed to remain on board.
But
I'll choose when and with whom I share information. You can accept that and continue assisting me, or you can spend the rest of the journey on a deck chair thinking about missed opportunities.
And none of this is by any chance related to the fact that the message doesn't suit your Raven theory. The Baroness knew the murderer from the past, and he was already a murderer when he boarded the ship. The Raven was always just a thief, not a murderer.
Careful, Constable. Are you accusing me of perverting the facts?
Of course not, monsieur.
Then let's get back to work. Good day, Constable.
I'll be in touch if I uncover more clues.
Very well.
No to teraz już w ogóle zgubiałem całkowicie. Co trzeba teraz zrobić? Z wszystkimi żeśmy porozmawiali. Obeszliśmy cały statek. Troszkę żeśmy jakiś tam poszlak się dowiedzieli. I tu Pabla da. Dobra, zapukam jeszcze do pana doktora.
Neither Dr. Gebhardt nor Constable Oliver can keep, but in contrast,
Dobra. To ja myślę, że w tym momencie skończymy odcinek, bo specjalnie nawet nie wiem, co mam zrobić. I będę rozkminiał w kolejnym odcinku, więc dziękuję za uwagę i pozdrawiam. Hej!